She was betrayed, humiliated, and abandoned by the man she loved. Then, within one single hour of meeting a cold, powerful CEO, she married him in a desperate act of defiance, unaware that this man had been secretly in love with her for 10 long years. What happens next is a storm of obsession, hidden sacrifices, shocking revelations, and a love so deep it rewrites destiny itself. So before this story steals your heart, hit subscribe and stay with me till the very end, because every minute will change the way you believe in fate. The night her world collapsed began like any other, with rain streaking down the city lights as Mira waited outside the restaurant clutching her phone, smiling at messages from her boyfriend Arjun, the man she had loved for 7 years, the man she believed she would marry, the man who promised forever in casual whispers, only for that illusion to shatter when she walked inside and saw him on one knee, not for her, but for her best friend, laughing, celebrating, surrounded by applause that felt like knives tearing through her chest. And when Arjun saw her standing there frozen, his face didn't hold guilt or panic but irritation, as if she were an inconvenience interrupting his happiness. And in that moment Mira understood the cruel truth that love without loyalty is just a lie told slowly. She left without screaming, without crying, stepping into the rain where her tears could hide, her heart breaking so loudly it drowned the thunder, wandering the streets until she found herself inside a quiet hotel lounge, soaked, shaking, empty, ordering the strongest drink she'd ever tasted, whispering to no one that she had wasted her youth on a man who never deserved her. And that was when a calm, deep voice beside her said her name like it was a prayer, Mira, and she turned to see a man in a tailored black suit, eyes dark, steady, intense, a man who looked like he controlled empires yet watched her as if she were the only thing that mattered. His name was Arav Khanna, CEO of Khanna Global, a name she vaguely recognized from headlines and billboards, but before she could ask how he knew her, he placed his jacket over her shoulders with a familiarity that startled her, telling her she deserved warmth, dignity, and honesty, 3 things she had been denied that night, and something in his presence felt impossibly safe, like standing beside a wall that could never crack. She laughed bitterly and said she had just been betrayed, that love was a joke, that men were selfish, and instead of arguing, Arav simply said he agreed, because he had watched her love someone else for 10 years without ever crossing a line. And her laughter died as she stared at him in disbelief. But grief makes people reckless, and anger makes them bold, and when he quietly said, "Marry me," it felt like madness wrapped in calm. She accused him of mocking her pain, yet he met her fury with patience, explaining that marriage didn't have to begin with love, sometimes it began with respect, protection, and choice, and that he would never betray her, never humiliate her, never make her feel invisible, and if she wanted revenge on the man who broke her, if she wanted to rewrite the story where she was the discarded one, then she could become Mrs. Khanna within the hour, and something wild ignited inside her, a need to prove that she was not broken, not unwanted, not weak, and so she agreed, half drunk on pain, half drunk on courage, signing papers in a private suite, exchanging vows that sounded unreal, marrying a stranger whose hands trembled slightly when he slid the ring onto her finger. And only later would she understand those hands shook not from doubt but from 10 years of restrained longing, because Arav had met Mira a decade ago when she was a struggling intern and he was a silent investor visiting her office. He had watched her give her lunch to a homeless man, defend a colleague who was being bullied, smile even when she was exhausted, and in those quiet observations his love had grown, patiently, painfully, as he saw her fall for Arjun, watched her post photos, attend events, dream of a future that didn't include him. And he chose distance over interference, loyalty over desire, believing that loving her meant respecting her happiness even if it destroyed him, until the night fate handed him the chance he never dared to hope for. And after the marriage, the world exploded with headlines calling her a gold digger, a rebound bride, a scandal, while Arjun showed up furious, accusing her of betrayal, of using him, of marrying for status, only to be calmly escorted out of Khanna Tower by security as Arav stood beside her, his hand firm on her back, whispering that she was safe, and living with Arav was nothing like she expected. There were no demands, no conditions, no forced intimacy, only quiet care, hot tea left by her bedside, legal teams silencing malicious rumors, a driver who waited even when she ran late, and a husband who slept on the couch the first week because he didn't want her to feel pressured. And slowly Mira began to notice the details, the way he remembered her favorite flowers, the playlist he played when she was sad, the file on his laptop filled with articles she had once written anonymously, and the truth unraveled piece by piece until she confronted him, asking why he loved her so deeply without asking for anything. And when he finally told her everything, about the 10 years, the silent support, the nights he walked away from business deals near her office just to see her smile from a distance. She broke down in tears she had been holding since the night of betrayal, realizing that while she mourned a love that never respected her, she had married a man who had worshipped her soul in silence. Yet the twists of fate were not done, because Arjun returned with lies, claiming Mira had cheated, manipulating public opinion, nearly destroying her reputation, until Arav revealed the truth in a press conference so powerful it silenced the world, presenting evidence not just of Arjun's betrayal but of his financial crimes, proving that the man who once stood tall was nothing but a fraud. And when the dust settled, Mira expected Arav to finally claim his rights as her husband, but instead he told her she was free, that if she wanted to leave, he would sign the divorce papers without hesitation, because love, to him, was never ownership. And that moment shattered her final wall, because she realized she no longer stayed out of anger or revenge or fear. She stayed because she loved him, fiercely, deeply, undeniably. And when she kissed him first, the world finally aligned, their marriage transforming from an impulsive decision into a partnership built on trust, passion, and healing. And years later, when Mira stood beside Arav holding their child, she understood that betrayal had not been the end of her story but the violent beginning of a destiny written by patience, loyalty, and a love that waited 10 years without demanding anything in return.